Yeah. Whew. Hello, and welcome back. I don't remember if if this is where I left it off, but I'm going to assume so because I don't remember this specific line. So, it is only a few days since you became a student at the college. Your education has barely begun when an amazing piece of news surprises all the students. Every year, Cornelius Tempest, the great chancellor and the emperor's younger brother, grants an honor to all future nobles of the mantle and invites them into a masquerade at his summer palace. The professors and lecturers instruct you to look and act your best in order to preserve the college's honor. They tell you more about the ball too. All who attend it from the college must prove themselves with word or deeds to the members of the great Archnean dynasties that will be present there. This means the reputation of your home province will be at stake too. It is time to get ready. You order a proper suit for the occasion and a mask to go with it. It looks simple, but by no means plain, and only hides your eyes. The day comes. You spend the entire morning preparing for the ball. Your fellow students give you hints about how to attach the cuffs, keep the collar straight, and make sure your hair remains coiffed for the entire night. Soon the carriages start flocking to Cornelius Tempest's summer palace. The tall, ornate outer fence surrounds a sprawling garden in full bloom. The marble-paved driveway is so wide it can accommodate 2 rows of carriages. You and your fellow students walk up the massive stairs and to the front door of the palace. You seem tiny and incongruous against the background of the scenic grandeur. The Master of Ceremonies instructs all newcomers to seek their province's coats of arms. You see the banner of Magra from far away, depicting the silver tree digging its roots into the murky gray soil. Below it is a banner bearing the coat of arms of the Charmelonitis dynasty. It turns out the students from the college were not the only ones invited to this party. You see academy cadets lined up beneath the banners too, and Thomas is among them. A wide grin appears on his face when he sees you go under the banner of Magra.
I just knew you'd be here today, pal. What can I say? Congratulations, student. As for me, I'm not so bad off myself, see? The military academy is father and mother to me now.
His merry speech is interrupted by a tall, proud Archnean in a heavy cloak. You recognize him. He is Dorius Otten, Sophia's former master.
Make way for your commander, soldiery.
The last time you saw Otten, he was searching the back streets of Anazote by your house for a girl servant, but now the young Archnean's uniform betrays his high standing. He is young, yet he's already the province's commander. Who put him in charge of all the military forces at Magra at such an age?
What's wrong? You know him or something?
A brief description of Otten is enough to wipe the smile off his face. You see no other high-ranking officials bearing the colors of Magra at this party. It seems Dorius Otten will be the main representative of your province tonight. You watch the other college students and academy cadets line up under the provincial banners. The blue and silver banner of Archnia, the emperor's own province, is in the very center of the hall. Judging by the hilts jutting out from beneath their belts, many of those who surround that banner are nobles of the sword. Thomas is clearly jealous. The group from Archnia stands proudly, ennobled by its iconic and dignified history. The Archnean race and the Empire originated in their very lands. A sizable group of students stand under the banner of Monia, a wealthy agricultural province signified by yellow grains on a field of ore? Alright. I don't know these words, because I'm a simpleton, but you know. The wealth of the young men beneath this banner is plain to see. The attire is on par with the Archneans in terms of luxury, and perhaps even more vibrant in terms of color. The most numerous group at the party stands under the banner of Elria. A yellow griffin stands against a field of azure. All the Elrians are clothed in well-tailored suits with a minimum of decoration. Some of them wear gloves. Most of them come from multi-industrial families, and it seems many of them would feel more at ease in their family factories than at a noble party like this one. 3 banners represent the northern provinces of Fiona, Hermia, and Constanta. These banners, like the groups associated with them, stand together. The Royal Tempest Dynasty oversees all 3 of them. The students and cadets are clearly well off, yet they are dressed in modest, functional garments to honor the austere traditions of the North. And finally, the smallest of the groups is represented by an open book against the field of Argent, Astantina, homeland of the Diamond God, I just got stuff in my nose and throat today. The Diamant Dynasty. By the order of Patriarch Junius Diamant, the open book of the new faith has been added to the banner only recently. Nearly all young men beneath this banner are clothed in academy uniforms. They wear no ornaments, but are clad impeccably, with nary a button undone, the embodiment of rigor and restraint. The Master of Ceremonies signals the beginning of the party. It is time for dancing. The first dance is a minuet. A tradition calls for everyone to dance. A harpsichord music fills the hall. God. The Academy cadets waste no time finding dance partners and soon already making the fluid first steps of the minuet. You take a look around. One of the young ladies representing Magra catches your eyes. She is slender, like all Archneans, and clothed in a yellow dress embroidered with emerald green. Her face is hidden behind a full mask decorated with bright green feathers. What happens next seems unbelievable. The enigmatic lady walks towards you. The way she looks at you, the way she walks. The black eyes from behind the mask watch you closely. She tilts her head. There are no words, but you feel that there is a question. Everyone in the hall is startled by a sudden noise. You look behind you. You see Thomas getting up off the floor, his face a grimace of rage. Dorius Otten stands before him, eyeing him with disgust. His arms rest on the hilt of his sword.
Who allowed this clumsy commoner inside the great Chancellor's palace? Its noble masters are trying to dance and it's getting underfoot.
Thomas looks like he is about to explode in Otten's face, but a smug Archnean sword is a clear threat. If your friend's rage gets the better of him, he will end up in trouble. The enigmatic Archnean beauty, however, quickly loses all interest in their quarrel. She comes even closer to you, expecting you to invite her to a dance. I gotta resolve the quarrel. As much as I do want to dance, but we don't want Thomas getting in trouble. You stand between Thomas and Otten. Before they can clash, the Archnean eyes you with scorn. You shower him with a flurry of apologies for your friend. Thomas has never been to this kind of party and still has a lot to learn when it comes to etiquette. And besides, he is clearly flummoxed from witnessing an Archnean up close. Otten smirks just barely enough to notice.
Well said. Sometimes I forgot humans are barely smarter than beasts. Take pride in the fact that you were permitted to attend this party. You'll have stories to tell and all that. Very well, away with you, and try not to get in my way. Why, I recognize your face now that I think of it. Ah, you hail from Anazote. I must have seen you on the street somewhere. There are just too many of your kind about, but you're rather sharp. And you've been taught how to behave. That's a welcome sight. You back away from the Archnean in a most gallant way, clutching your friend by the arm. There's a mixture of rage and bewilderment on Thomas's face. Once you are far enough, he swears under his breath and heads for the refreshments. You follow him and watch him down 2 glasses of sparkling wine, like a parched man guzzling water. That's not exactly how I thought it was going to result. You sure got skill when it comes to sucking up to Archneans, my friend. You saved my hide today, no doubt about it.
Still feels like a bucket of slop right in the face, though. It could have been far worse, you tell him. Better a moment of shame than a fight with a mighty Archnean in the middle of a party. Assaulting an Archnean is the easiest way to meet true death. Thomas says nothing to this and downs the 3rd glass of wine. Out of the corner of your eye, you catch the mysterious masked Archnean lady, all beauty and grace, dancing with Otten. You could have been in his place had you so chosen. Don't really, I'd rather protect my friend. It could have manipulation. You have lived another year in the capital. Eterna has been shaken by what is now known as the Trial of the 50. 50 people stand trial at once, all prominent members of several political circles. They are accused of treason and conspiracy against the crown. The accused had spoken in favor of reducing the power of the nobles and granting more rights to the common estate. There is no mention of rebellion, yet those words alone were enough to indict them. Every session of the trial is open to the public. It is a show of power made to discourage people from forming such circles ever again. You attend one of these sessions. The 50 face their verdict. Forced labor in the mines of Magra and Elria for regular members and true death for their leaders. 6 men and 1 woman. The public execution takes place in the central square of Eterna. You remember the woman. Her name was Annie Siren. She made a speech before her execution. A young man, not too tall, her face almost plain, with long bangs over her eyes. She looks calm, even at this moment. You cannot believe she is about to leave this world forever. Annie Siren takes a look around before she speaks. Her voice is quiet, but you are close enough to hear every single word. She says she is happy to give her lives fighting for the rights of the people. Her cause will never die, Annie claims. Others like her will continue their work in hiding, for their cause is right and just. She is dragged away to the others. They put a sack over her head and tighten a noose around her neck. A hand yanks on the lever and a single dangle in the air. Their feet tremble at first, and then grow still. There are gasps and cries of discontent in the crowd. Hey, hon. Your studies at the Imperial College have begun with a luxurious party, but soon you settle into a routine of lesson after lesson. Along with dozens of other future judges, you spend hours listening to lectures in spacious college halls with high ceilings. You study imperial law and legislation, and analyzing every technicality and interpretation. The subjects only get tougher, and the instructors grow even more demanding as your studies continue. Yet law is not the only thing you study. There are other disciplines as well, such as rhetoric and orthography. A true judge must have perfect command of both the spoken and written word. Washing dark blue ink off your fingers becomes an illegible part of your daily routine. Indelible. Alright. Of all your classes, you find the fencing lessons particularly exciting. Every lesson covers your body with more cuts and bruises and makes your muscles ache from exertion, but your childhood dream is worth it. Then finally, there becomes a short break in your studies, a handful of days of rest and recreation. You meet Thomas to discuss how you are going to spend this time.
You're coming... Oh my god. You're coming with me tonight. No excuses, Brante. We'll be paying a visit to our mentor, Baron Elcroy. It's time you learned a thing or two about how we do things in the military.
Your friend looks very cunning and pleased with himself when he says this. With a sigh, you change out of your college uniform and into your best clothes and follow him. Thomas rushes you two to a 2-story house somewhere in a noble neighborhood in the capital. Its windows are open and you can hear people talking over each other. The house's sitting room is filled with young people, at least 24 men, almost all of them academy cadets. In the middle of the sitting room is an armchair, and in this armchair is a gentleman wearing the uniform of an Imperial Legion officer and smoking a pipe. His thick hair falls over his large observant eyes. Baron Elcroy welcomes the two of you with a slight nod and continues his speech while everyone listens respectfully.
As I was saying, young men, I firmly believe that the day when all the military glory of the Empire belonged to the Archaean dynasties are long gone. Human nobles have been serving the Emperor at least as well as the Archaean nobles for a long time now. Still, the Archaeans keep acting like their origins are more important than the honor and service to the crown. Take the Charmelonitis dynasty, for example. The Archdukes of Magra, long ago their leader Charmelonitis fomented a rebellion against the rule of the Tempests and the Twins' faith. He sucked all the life of his own land, doomed thousands of his own subjects, and yet Melanitis' dynasty still rules over Magra like nothing ever happened. Then suddenly Sir Elcroy flashes a cunning grin. I think this calls for a test of your strategic thinking, young men. But first, let me refresh your memory on the Rebellion of Charmelonitis. It may seem surprising, but you have him to thank for our current status. He was the first to ennoble humans, an act of unprecedented insolence, but it gave the rebellious Duke immense support in the province. He risked his own reputation and title to make himself stronger thanks to humans, and in that he succeeded.
No one had ever dared challenge the rule of Arachnians and Tempests before, but the Rebellion of Magra changed everything. Humans became a part of the nobility. We got a taste of the power only the Arachnians could wield before, and unless I'm mistaken, most nobles in the Empire these days are human. Why we outnumber the members of the Arachnian dynasty dozens of times over. So Charmelonitis had complete rule and control over the lands of Magra. He had the loyalty of his ennobled human subjects, and he had the loyalty of the mages and witches who fled to Anazote, the only place of the Empire where they could hide from the church. The Archduke of Magra had everything he needed to win, and yet two pivotal changes brought him down. First of all, he cast a magic spell that incinerated the entire province. It certainly stopped the Imperial legions in their tracks, but the population of Magra would no longer side with Charmelonitis after that. Second, the clergy struck at the rebellious Duke with the power of the twins. His magic was gone, and his main advantage was no more. Many fled, but as you know, it still took the Empire an entire month of siege before the palace of Anazote was taken. After the Rebellion of Magra, the Empire changed drastically, and most importantly, humans finally received their lawful right to be ennobled. And I'd like to stress that in particular, ennobled not by birth, but by virtue of their own knowledge and talent. History, young men, is more than just memory of the past. It is also a lesson for our future. I believe that the part of our history proves my point. And now, a test. Tell me, if you were among the Imperial strategists during the rebellion, what would you have done? How would you have fought an enemy as powerful as Charmelonitis? With this, Sir Elcroy leans back in his armchair and takes a pull from his pipe while the cadets start discussing. Some take no time to say that they cannot believe Sir Elcroy thinks humans were first ennobled by serving the rebellious Duke. Others say the prolonged palace siege might have been a mistake, and storming the palace would have been a better choice. Soon ideas start flying. Some cause laughter, while others lead to debate. They are discussing the past of Anazote, the past of your hometown. You cannot possibly stay silent right now. If you were in command of the Imperial legions back then, what would you have done? Based on what you know about the Rebellion of Magra, you see three potential strategies. The first involves calling upon the twins' miracles and rob Melanitis of magic and render him powerless. The second entails putting your faith in the discipline and valor of the army for a frontal assault. The third means drawing out the siege while making the enemy's life as hard as possible through cunning. Which of these strategies would you have chosen? Probably a divisive as I don't really like any of these options. I mean, a siege would be the most practical. Guess we'd lay siege to it. You decided it's time for your answer, Sir Elcroy. Two answers, Sir Elcroy. The proper way to bring down the castle of Anazote would have been through prolonged siege, you say. The lands of Magra could no longer feed the warriors of Charmelonitis at the stage of the rebellion, and when their supplies eventually ran out, they would have opened the gate from the inside. Sir Elcroy looks at you, studying you attentively. I agree. What you're saying, with what you're saying, young Brante. In a sense, had the Imperial forces done that, they would have lost fewer men and kept the palace of Anazote intact. Yet you are missing my point here. Melanitis' army would have continued fighting, even emaciated by the siege, even their numbers dwindling. True, some did flee, but those who stayed to defend the city and the castle even after the Imperial forces broke in remained loyal to their lord until the very end. Long ago, only Arachnians had the right to wield weapons and wage war, but now humans can prove their merit and earn the same right, humans like ourselves. Excuse me. And the present empire has grown even stronger thanks to its new warriors and functionaries. These days, humans can judge and rule and create. The terrors wrought by the rebellious Duke are undeniable, yet his rebellion created new possibilities for all of us. And this, young men, is the moral of the story. Charmelonitis was defeated, but not by the clergy and their prayers, and not even by nobles and militias assembled by the other archdukes. He was vanquished by the imperial legions, a unified army with clear regulations and ranks and a clear chain of command. An army that is strong in discipline and loyalty to the emperor. His eyes finally move away from you and back to the rest of the young men in the hall, but nobody else dares to argue with the battle-hardened officer. The evening continues. Sir O'Croy shares some of his war stories, each more astounding than the last. For the rest of the night, you are out of the Baron's center of attention, and so you join Thomas and the other cadets in the sipping wine and enjoying his tales. You return to the college long after midnight. You often recall Baron Croy's story about the Rebellion of Charmelonitis after that. The rebellious Duke lost the war, and yet he brought about drastic changes for the humans and the Empire. There are days when you receive letters from home. Father's writing is very reserved. He mostly discusses events and work in Magra and writes very little about the family.
It makes me proud that I have managed to teach Stefan how to handle our affairs at home. Your older brother behaves impeccably at the society balls and receptions that we society balls and receptions that we host. He has already made several crucial acquaintances.
But Gloria has a different opinion of Stefan. She thinks her older brother is taking more and more after grandfather.
Stefan is a lot like grandfather. It's in his manners, his posture, his voice. He even dresses just like him. He used to be aloof around me, and we barely talked in the past, but now he always blames me and tears me apart. I can't take it anymore. He walks all over me all the time and treats me like a housemaid.
Mother writes to you. From her letters, you learn that Nathan had just barely managed to graduate from school.
It makes me sad to admit that Nathan has none of the talents you have. The other day he told me that he won't even try to study in the capital. He says he won't be able to pass the exams. I find solace only in the nights Nathan and I spend together reading the scriptures in our walks to the church by the Silver Tree. He accompanies me every time.
Your sister and younger brother write about Mother too, and they say the same thing about her health. She now spends more time locked away in her chambers to brood. Gloria does her best to accompany Mother when she leaves home, and Nathan's letters mention her steps echoing in the halls in the middle of the night. There's one more thing that Nathan mentions in his letters. Stefan and Gloria have been fighting very often these days.
Stefan always tries to get under Gloria's skin, and she answers him in kind. Then Stefan calls her a lovely commoner and make her shut up.
You always tremble in excitement each time you see a new letter with the seal of your home province. Your fate is still bound tightly to your families, no matter the distance between you.
How did I lose relations with Stefan? I didn't do anything. I received a letter, and I lost relations with my brother, apparently.
Probably because he's an asshole. That's all I need to know.
What?
I just lost relations with everybody. What the fuck? You will become a judge one day. So you are sent to the prefecture of Eterna to be mentored by a more experienced colleague. Your mentor is a judge of considerable age, a noble of the mantle with a proud bearing about him. He never misses a chance to remind you that being mentored by such an experienced man is an office is a great honor. Your mentor entrusts you with his minor cases, and to his great joy, his night shifts. Oh, I bet to his great joy. Another night begins. The office is growing darker. You are still there, zealously filling out the paperwork for the day. A petty theft, a verbal assault against a noble of the sword by a commoner, a fine for the parents of children who covered an imperial institution with obscene drawings. Petty cases, all of them, but they are real cases a judge has to face. And so you sit there, carefully comparing complaints, statements, and witness testimonies. Then the door to your office swings open. A gendarme drags in a provocatively dressed girl. Her golden hair is undone, and her makeup is fiery red. Girls like her sell their bodies in houses of ill repute. The next to enter the office is a stout priest, his face adorned by a nose of remarkable shape and a huge wart on his cheek. You do your best to avoid staring at it.
More.
The gendarme gives his report. The girl was arrested with a certain gentleman in the park by the Temple of the Twins. They were commuting acts of They were commuting acts of carnality and an affront to the faith. The huffing and puffing priest interrupts him and starts yelling, "He saw her doing magic, he did. The gentleman was enthralled by the girl, and he was glowing like a lamppost." You gesture for the priest to stay quiet and ask if the gendarme can prove this. The gendarme only shrugs. He didn't see anyone glowing. He arrested the girl for her sacrilegious conduct alone. The man in her company was a noble, so the gendarme couldn't bring himself to arrest him. He does, however, remember his name. The priest is huffing and puffing even louder now. "It was magic," he screams. "You must refer to this case to the Inquisition. This witch was loose on the streets of the Empire's illustrious capital, seducing good men with her vile charms." The girl stays quiet all the while. Her eyes are emerald green, twinkling with gold as she looks at you. When she does speak, her voice is soft, like smooth velvet. "My name is Alice, Your Honor. All I did was obey the noble gentleman's wish. He wanted my affection right by the temple, and I dared not oppose him. I did not defy my lot, did I?" The wench looks up and meets your gaze as she says these words. Her eyes reflect the candlelight in the dusk, sending sparks of gold dancing across the walls. The gendarme stands awkwardly by the door, sighing. The priest goes off on another rant. You tell him to be quiet. The day is not over yet. You must decide how to resolve this unusual case on your own. The law says a judge must investigate all circumstances related to a case. You know the name of the nobleman who was seen with the girl in the throes of passion. The gendarme was afraid to question him, but you are a future nobleman yourself, a young judge. Surely you can find a way to resolve this matter with discretion and get the information you need from the nobleman. But perhaps the suspicious lady of evening, Alice. Alice is at the heart of the matter. You have no doubt that she will reveal her true colors if you question her. If the priest was right about her using magic, the girl's fate is sealed. Your Honor. You look up from your desk and into the eyes of the beautiful Alice, and you suddenly feel as though the divine light is shining upon you. This emotion flows like a river. It lifts you up. This is more than beauty, more than passion. This is much, much more. Will you resist this call, or will you heed it? We'll find the nobleman. You tell the gendarme to take the girl to the holding cell. Your eyes are filled with chagrin and pity as the man takes her away. Compose a polite and thorough letter to Sir Diego El Couture, the nobleman seen with the girl in question. You delicately hint that his reputation will be safe and promise full confidentiality. When you come to the office the next morning, you see a nervous young nobleman waiting at the door. "You must be Judge Brante," he says. You meet Sir El Couture with a dignified greeting and start questioning him on the case of Alice the harlot. Is it true the two of them ended up in the Temple Park because this was Sir El Couture's wish? He says he barely remembers last night. He was quite inebriated and determined to have a good time. He spotted Alice by accident. She was standing under a lamppost by the temple. As for the Temple Park, he does not quite remember why they ended up there. You take his statement in accordance with established procedure. Next question. Would Sir El Couture say his mind was clouded by the young woman? The nobleman turns red. He asks quietly, "Haven't you seen the lass yourself, Sir Brante? How could anyone ignore her?" Still, you ask, was there anything suspicious about her? He speaks slowly. Yes, it was as though she could see his every desire, and he was happy beyond measure within her embrace. Felt like the gods themselves were smiling at him, Sir El Couture. Oh, smiling at him, Sir El Couture. Alright. And yet, perhaps it was merely the wine and her beauty and nothing else. You thank the young nobleman for his honesty and promise to keep his statement a carefully guarded secret. You sentence the harlot to 2 days of pillory for defiling a place of worship with her depravity. You find no reason to refer Alice to the Inquisition. However, you write, "Case closed" on Alice's file and put it in the archives. Alice rescued. We rescued her. Oh, she's a singer. Interesting. No, another year has passed. Two major events take place while you are busy living your life. First, Cornelius Tempest is no longer the great chancellor of the empire. He has been ousted and sent back to his province. His replacement, the Archduke of Bonia, Agrius Monroe, God. The same Monroe who sought to shut down the college, the most powerful lord in the realm, finally convinced the emperor that his brother Cornelius was giving too much freedom to the Bloodborne. Now the policies of the empire will be reversed. Many fear that the new great... Stop with the music! Many fear that the new great chancellor would destroy the imperial code of laws and the other achievements of Cornelius. There are cautious rumors among the people. They say that the great chancellor is going to revoke the right of the common lot to be ennobled by the mantle. Secondly, Magra, your homeland, now has a new overseer, Gaius Tempest, the other brother of Emperor Uther II. Usually the overseer of the... Oh my god, the music! Man, stop! Usually the overseer of a province is its archduke. After all, it makes sense for the province's most powerful noble to impart the emperor's will to the locals. Yet now this age-old tradition has been broken, and to no one's surprise, Archduke Tarquinius Melanitis is absolutely furious. Gaius Tempest used to be the main supporter of his brother, from Great Chancellor Cornelius Tempest. Former Great Chancellor Cornelius Tempest. The nobles at the Emperor's court say that this stratagem by the Archaean gentry the music is starting to be very fucking distracting. Who want Gaius removed from the court affairs along with Cornelius. Either way, Gaius Tempest and Tarquinius Melanitis will be at each other's throats over the province. This does not bode well for their future. Only one thing is clear, Magra, your home province, is about to face great changes. Okay, can we stop with the music? I wouldn't say that was better. That was not needed. I'm still very tired. I just can't seem to freaking wake up. More coffee. The capital is preparing for a great celebration, the coming of age of Gerion Tempest, heir to the throne. The streets are being cleaned, the lowborn merchants have gone from their squares, and flags and flower garlands have appeared on the buildings. By the Emperor's decree, everyone will celebrate the next 3 days. Eterna is abuzz. A festive procession starts on the streets. Students from the college and cadets from the military academy will be there to show their gratitude for the Emperor's family for entrusting them with the power they wield. Ribbons and flags flutter in the wind. The streets are scrubbed clean and the scent of flowers fills the air. Just gonna turn that down. Gonna turn this down too. You march side by side with Thomas, carrying the banner of your province. Your friend's brown hair is unusually well combed today. He waves to every girl you see on the street as you pass by. They giggle shyly, and some of them wave back.
Did you see that, pal? Look at that beauty. She just smiled at me. Now this is what I call living. I just love parades.
The Tempest royal family observes the slowly approaching parade from the balcony of the imperial palace. They are joined by the empire's highest dignitaries and provincial overseers. You see Emperor Uther II with your own eyes. There, high above, yet so close. The columns come to a halt at the balcony and salute the emperor with the mottos of the college and the academy. Ooh, you join the other college students in crying. In crying? Learning is strength, learning is will. The emperor raises his hand in a gesture of benevolent greeting. His voice echoes across the square. I accept you. I accept you. I don't know what voice to do for this guy. I accept your gratitude, my loyal subjects.
take pride as you wield your knowledge and valor in service of the Empire. All who are worthy will be ennobled by the mantle by my grace.
The future nobles around you cheer the Emperor's words. But their jubilation gives way to murmurs of discontent when Archduke Monroe, the new Great Chancellor of the Empire, steps onto the balcony. Everyone here remembers all too well how the Archduke attempted to shut down the college by force. Still, the Archduke is the de facto leader of the Archnean gentry. He is a force to be reckoned with, even for the Emperor, and so he is the Great Chancellor now.
Hail, your Emperor, common folk! Be forever obedient and grateful with your good graces, and you do not deserve by birth.
The Archduke does not even bother to hide his contempt for the gathering below. Booed by the crowd, he rejoins the dignitaries in the back row. You notice one of them, a slender, elegant figure under the emerald banner with a black snake. This is Octavia Milonitis, daughter of the Archduke of Magra, the girl who had her fucking guard punch us.
Now that's new. You notice Octavia too, eh? Our Archduke Milonitis sent his daughter in his stead. That's a sign of disrespect for the Emperor, even if ever I've seen one. Is he so enraged because he's no longer the overseer of Magra? I mean, you can imagine his surprise. That's never happened before.
But then everyone grows silent. A young, slender Archnean with a sly smile comes forth. There are whispers in the crowd. That's Prince Geryon, heir to the throne. Ward of Cornelius. Promise and hope of the common estate. To the left of Geryon is his younger brother, Flavius. He is baffled at the sight of the parade below, too young to process what he's seeing. May the twins be kind to you, my future subjects. I promise to repay you in kind and help you prosper in the loyal service of the Empire. Exalted by these words, the future nobles roar as one. All hail Prince Geryon. Another figure steps into view next to the heir. He is an Archnean, elegantly dressed, and his mantle bears the Tempest colors. He raises his arms about to make a speech.
Hey look, that's Gaius Tempest, the Emperor's brother, the new overseer of Magra, by the by. It seems the Archnean elders want him as far from the throne as possible, just like his brother Cornelius. Those two have been promising too many freedoms to the commoners like you and me. Long live Prince Geryon, students of the college, cadets of the academy. Time and again, you have proven yourselves to the Empire by word and deed. Today is a day of great celebration, and in honor of Prince Geryon, you must ask the Emperor to guarantee forever the right of distinguished common folk to be ennobled by the mantle. So ask now. The cadets and students freeze in hesitation. They exchange glances, unsure whether to follow the words of the Emperor's own brother. In the balcony high above, Prince Geryon also remains still, awaiting a reaction from the crowd. Archduke Monroe briskly steps into view once more. He takes several seconds to observe the crowd before he speaks. Imperial subjects, what the Emperor's brother wishes to say is that you must always remember that you owe your status to the Tempest Dynasty. The Emperor accepts your gratitude and sends you off with his blessings. You may leave now.
But the columns stay where they are. That's not what Gaius Tempest said.
To the Emperor, hear us. The law, we ask for the law.
Commotion and murmurs spread over the crowd as some of the future nobles refuse to follow the Archduke's order. There are shouts heard here and there. The law, we ask for the law. The academy officers and teachers of the college urge them to fall in line and resume the parade. But tension is rising. The crowd slowly grows enraged and unruly. You have to decide where you stand here. I'm gonna demand my rights. Fuck following orders blindly. You cry out in support, and Gaius Tempest will call for the law. You have the right to be heard, and you have the right to ask. Your voice grows stronger, soon others join you. The chant grows louder with every second. The law! The law! Inspired by the support of your fellow students and cadets, you move through the square and urge others to join you. Thomas walks by your side, waving his arms wildly, inciting others to shout along with you. The law! The law! You, Thomas, and the other vocal students and cadets gather in the center of the square. Academy officers are trying to shout you into submission and order you back into the procession, but they are barely heard above your chant. Still, some submit and form back into the columns. But the impassioned chant continues, and you are the very heart of the chanting crowd. An Imperial Guard cavalry regiment emerges from the palace. They start slowly advancing towards the crowd, hands on their swords, pushing people out of the square. You have to stand your ground, so you start giving orders to defend the cobblestones beneath your feet with fellow feature nobles. You assemble into a double chain formation around the center of the square. It is strong enough to prevent the Imperial Guard from reaching the very center. The commoners go running left and right, away from the horses, but the cavalry stops when it reaches your double chain. They cannot break through unless they are ordered to attack, and so they halt and wait for orders. The horses paw at the cobblestones, the cavalry's swords are drawn and ready to come crashing down upon your heads. It is a standoff between the armor-clad cavalry and the unarmed students and cadets. Emperor Uther II appears at the balcony again, joined by his brother Gaius Tempest and the heir to the throne of Gerian Tempest. With a gesture, the emperor calls for attention. The square falls silent at the sight of the sovereign.
My subjects, I have heard your request. There is no need to repeat it again and again. The great Imperial Council shall review my brother's proposal. Now follow your lot and obey my will. Continue the parade and sing praises to the ever-merciful Prince Gerian.
These words from the emperor are enough to quell the commotion in the square. The standoff ends and the cavalry withdraws.
Well, would you look at that, old friend? We did it! We stood up for our noble rights and we won. That's the emperor's word. That's what our courage can do.
Voices from the crowd are quick to disprove Thomas. The emperor never gave his word. He only promised to review the proposal. People begin to argue around you again. This time, however, no one wishes to disobey the orders from on high, and so the students line up into columns once again. The bout of defiance is in the past now, and everyone resumes a festive parade through the streets. Glory to Emperor Uther! Glory to Prince Gerian! I am a dangerous enemy, apparently. Ow, I just stubbed my toe. Ow, fuck. Your studies at the college come easily to you. Only now do you realize the importance of all the lessons you had to endure as a child at father's expense. Month after month you study the judge's trade, and down to the smallest details, growing more confident in your new calling with every lecture. But there is more to your education of the judge's trade and imperial law. You also learn manners and courtly etiquette, poetry and composition, and even fencing. On some days you go with Thomas to a deserted patch of land to practice with the sword. Then finally, the day of your judge's exam comes. You send your test results to father, and he replies with an appointment to a judge's office at the prefecture of Magra. Now you have a new life, a new profession back home. You will return to your hometown as a judge. It is early morning at the great temple of the twins. Your heart skips a beat as you step inside the temple. It feels like the day from your childhood again. The priest is standing at the altar and the temple is divided into two halves, but you are no longer a frightened little child anymore. You are now a grown man who is about to become a noble. The floor of the common side is there to cause pain. You feel the jagged edges even through the soles of your boots. This pain marks your final few seconds as a commoner. The priest stands before you. You kneel again, but now there is warm, smooth marble under your knees. You hear the words spoken above your head. From this day forth, your lot is strength and will. From this day forth, you will rule and fight and pursue the arts. Now rise, noble. You place your lips on the smooth steel of the sword, and when you rise again, you realize that the trembling you felt ever since your first sacrament is now completely gone. You arise a new man, your every motion now uncannily accurate, and your thoughts surprisingly fresh, your muscles ready to face the fight. This day feels worthy of a poem, and now you can compose one if you wish. You touch your back. The mark of the lash from your previous sacrament is gone, completely erased forever. You hurry from the sacrament back to your room at the college. Your father's gift awaits you there. A sword. Your very own sword. Now to celebrate, all college students are invited to the college tournament. Then a party. The sword feels wonderful in your hand, a promise of future victories. The tournament begins. The stands are loud with anticipation. Never in your entire life have you seen so many beautiful noble ladies in one place. But there is only one who attracts everybody's attention. The raven-haired, black-eyed Octavia Melanitis, the daughter to the Archduke of Magra, has graced the tournament with a visit. Take a deep breath. She is wearing a dress of emerald green, her austere hairdo immaculate. She is surrounded by her ladies-in-waiting, all beauties in their own right. When a noble enters the tournament, he must announce the name of the lady whose honor he is fighting for. I want to see my relations real quick. Sophia's still here, somewhere. I wonder when she's going to pop back into the picture. When a noble enters the tournament, he must announce the name of the lady whose honor he is fighting for. Many shout the names of their loved ones in the stalls. You know that many would fight for Octavia Melanitis, but the onus of responsibility is too great. You take a few jabs with the sword, warming up for the fight. Soon it is your turn. All eyes are on you now. The young lady Octavia hides her face behind the hand fan. Yet her eyes watch you with curiosity. Sure, we'll fight in Octavia's name. You approach the stalls and shout clearly and loudly. You will fight for the honor of the young Duchess Octavia Melanitis. Slowly she rises from the seat. The stalls grow quiet. If you suffer defeat after such insolent words, you may face the ire of one of the ancient Arcanian dynasties. Sir Fox Brante, how do I know this name? Ah yes, you've already dared to draw my attention once. In memory of our amusing encounter, I will grant you the honor of fighting in my name. Do not disgrace it. The stalls explode with applause, celebrating your courage. The first fight begins. The rules are the same for any noble duel. However, whoever draws first blood wins. Your first opponent does not put up much of a fight. A few minutes later, he misses a jab to the thigh. Your shirt is soaked in sweat. The hilt of your sword feels slippery in your wet fingers. From behind you, her emerald hand fan, Octavia watches you closely from her seat. You prevail in 3 fights in a row and prepare to face a new opponent. You know him well. He was mentored at the prefecture of Eterna after you. He is an unusually quick and nimble fighter. He catches you with a feint and then follows it up with a light jab to the side. Fair enough, 3 victories, not bad. You salute Octavia Melanitis with your sword. She gracefully accepts your gesture. You have proven yourself well, Sir Brante. Who knew you would become a noble and we would meet again here in the capital of the Empire? I must say, I am amazed. The eyes of the young Archduchess follow you even as you leave the arena. You will remember this day for the rest of your life, the day when you became a noble. Hey, we're influential now. You have earned the judge's mantle and the noble title. Oh boy. Just before you leave the capital, you overhear something unusual in the street. Junius Diamant, Patriarch of Astinia and one of the leaders of the New Faith, will stand trial before a church tribunal. The Order of the Inquisition has accused Patriarch Junius of patronizing blasphemous witches and disseminating heresy. The Holy Tribunal claims that Junius Diamant was scheming to free all witches and sorcerers from the collars that fetter their accursed powers. And what's worse, the Patriarch was also accused from forming the Lotless, a dangerous secret society based in the imperial capital. Members of the society have been assaulting inquisitors and priests of the church, as well as freeing witches from the cleansing fire and helping them escape the holy law. Now the Patriarch must face the Holy Tribunal and the Inquisition in Eterna. By all accounts, this is a devastating blow to the New Faith and the end of days for Junius Diamant himself. The Inquisition will make the most of this opportunity to rid the land of this unwelcome Patriarch who dared to shake the foundation of the old faith. But then comes the sudden news of Patriarch Junius's reply to the Holy Tribunal. It is no less stunning than the accusation. These words are nothing but lies. I will say this to anyone who dares to bring this accusation against me in person, but I want those hypocrites to bear the full weight of their responsibility for this slander against me, my flock, the Diamant Dynasty, and the Holy Order. I agree to stand trial before the Holy Tribunal, but I will face them on my own land and on my terms. Patriarch Junius has already received strong support from Patriarch Luke and many priests across Arcania. Parishes of the New Faith throughout the Empire are now speaking out in support of Junius Diamant. The Church of the Twin Gods is about to be rent in twain. The Inquisition has no choice but to revoke the trial in order to avert the coming schism. The new official stance is that Patriarch Junius has been wrongfully accused, and the Holy Tribunal will now apply more cautious judgment during any further trials against the followers of the new faith. Following the teachings of Patriarch Fotis is no longer seen as heresy by the Inquisition. The trial of Junius Diamant has been averted, but the divide between the church is only deepening. The new faith has directly changed the old faith. The result is uncertain depending on who you ask. Some say Junius Diamant all but pled guilty. Others believe that Patriarch and the alleged rebellion against the church as well as the Inquisition is nothing but a ruse. There are also people who think the entire situation sounds like one of the secret chancellery's dirty deeds. One way or another, the Patriarch of Estinia and co-leader of the new faith remains at his post. For how long? And how will the old faith and the new faith clash next? Ooh. The Regalta and Taurina rivers meet outside the city walls. You have barely left the capital since you came here all those years ago. A breeze is blowing on your face and the bright moon sun hangs above the shining pillar. You stay in Eterna as long as your stay in Eterna has come to an end. You arrived here as a boy, full of hopes and aspirations, driven by your family's expectations and a desire to live your life as you saw fit. And now you have to leave, and this thought fills you with gentle sadness. Eterna did not become your home, and yet you have finally found your path. Here in the capital, you became a nobleman and a judge. You are now one of the rulers, the warriors, the pleasure seekers, the creators. Those who spilled their blood for the empire and family and honor. Those who keep in honor the age-old traditions. This is your lot now. You were to work in the prefecture of your home province as a judge. Your path to this goal was a long one, and your friend Thomas was by your side all the while. You finally recall your walks through the streets of Eterna, your secret fencing lessons, your heartfelt discussions. You have no doubt your future back in Anazote will be full of glory. And then you recall the black, enigmatic eyes of Octavia Melanitis, an Archnean from one of the great dynasties, a woman whose beauty and majesty make you tremble. You heard she would be returning to the court of her father, the Archduke in Magra. Will you ever see her again? You will meet father once more. He tends to hide his feelings, but not this time. After all, you have fulfilled all his hopes, succeeded in your studies, and continued your family's noble legacy. Many things must have changed back home by now. You recall your older brother Stefan. Now that you have been ennobled, you are practically equals at last. This means you should follow an old tradition and bring Stefan a gift. And so you head to the market district of Eterna. Soon you are busy trying out swords at the weaponsmith shop. There's a lot to consider for this gift. Stefan is taller, and his shoulders are broader, which means that his sword must be heavier and longer. There can be no embellishments. Stefan would scoff at you if you brought him an extravagant weapon. At last you find a suitable sword, black and steel, a subtle ornament of leaves on the blade, and a grip shaped like woven women vines. It resembles the seared soil of Magra beneath a silver tree. You chose the sheath with the same diligence. There, a light wooden frame bound in thin yet sturdy leather will make the blade easy to draw, and the buckle is sturdy enough. You leave the shop satisfied. You leave the capital in the morning after. Eterna, the city where you spent your 4 years, slowly disappears on the horizon. Will you ever see the capital again? You do not know. The sword, a gift for Stefan, is in your hands. I didn't want to... What about the rest of the family? After 4 years in the capital, you return to your home city of Anazote. The years of your youth have come to an end. The time has come to leave the capital behind and return to your family and new business in your hometown of Anazote. The years away from home were full of tumult and hardship. Your adult shoulders now bear the burden of your first life-changing decisions. Did you have the freedom to choose this lot for yourself, or was it your destiny all along? Ever since your childhood years, all you can do now is follow the path that lies before you. I'd say those were some good results. We're influential. We're not the best in theology, manipulation. We're a dangerous enemy when it comes to valor. We're a clear speaker. We're a conspirator. And that's all.
We are now 20.
Oh, how time flies.
A full adult now, I returned from the capital a changed man. Yet, my hometown was not the same as I had left it. Fate had difficult times in store for all of us.
Oh boy. As the carriage wheels clack a steady rhythm over the cobblestones, you watch the lands of Magra rendered dry and desolate by ancient magic sail by the window. You are back in your home province, but you are no longer the boy who left it by this very road 4 years ago. You return a nobleman and a judge. You are continuing the family trade. You have returned to serve at the province prefecture. Your home, Anazot, is but a few hours away on this dusty road. The carriage is stuffy and hot from the sun. Even with the thick blinders shut tight, it is a familiar heat, but you will now need to get used to it again. The heat weighs heavy on you, but it also reminds you of your childhood. You will see your family again soon. To pass the time before your return home, you read your father's most recent letter. Again and again, you carefully reread your father's uneasy words, steeling yourself for the first real job in the service that waits.
Dear Fox, I anxiously await your return, my son. You are the third judge in our bloodline, the pride of our family. Yet these are hard times for a judge. By the Emperor's decree, Archduke Tarquinius Melanitis is no longer the overseer of Magra. The new overseer is the Emperor's own brother Gaius Tempest, and now our province has been split by enmity and strife between the Archduke and the overseer. The nobles have split into two factions, and so too have the commoners. Some side with the Archduke, loyal to their liege and determined to follow the traditions of old. Yet many judges and officials are eager to side with Gaius Tempest as the new overseer. Compared to his brother Cornelius, he is less radical and more cautious, but he too seeks to transform the empire and bring the estates to peace. Yet other Ocnians are outraged that Archduke Melanitis has been deposed. One among them is Dorius Otten, High Commander of Magra. Although Otten and his men are sworn to serve Gaius Tempest and follow his orders, it is no secret that his loyalty remains with the Archduke. While Gaius and the Archduke are at odds, there has been no open confrontation, yet. I fear the patience may one day run dry. As for the judges at the prefecture, every day we deal with more and more litigation between the nobles and commoners, yet there are no imperial laws that clearly formalize the rights of all three estates. Wisdom, honor, and conscience are every judge's best advisor these days. You made a choice to serve the law, and you will have your work cut out for you. You will answer directly to Prefect Augustine Elborn, a long-standing friend of the family. He needs strong allies now more than ever. With the support of the people such as you and I, the prefect intends to alter the fate of our province. I'm looking forward to seeing you back in Anazot, Fox. You put the letter back in your pocket. The walls of Anazot have finally emerged on the horizon. A challenging job at the prefecture awaits you, but first you are going home. Alright, Otten is sentenced. Ennobled by the sword. Quite the changes. Whoa, there's a lot happening in this chapter. Outcomes of the chapter, for the Brante family, occupation, and new sections. Alright. Well, this one was shorter, about half the time of my usual ones, but I'm going to leave this one here, guys. I think it's a pretty good stopping point. For anybody that joined into the stream, thank you for watching. For those of you guys watching in the future, I thank you guys for watching too.
But until next time, guys, this is your favorite Green Fox, signing you off.
See ya.